Oh.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I am Lauren Konkar-Sheehy, the Executive Director of the Garden State Film Festival, and joining me today is Heather Britton O'Scanlan, Vice Chair of the Garden State Film Festival, along with Casey Cox, Stephen Baldwin, and
Jan Yakulik and Cindy Drukier, the producers.
Who created Finding Manny, that is presenting at the Garden State Film Festival 2021.
An amazing documentary. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Oh my gosh, we are so thrilled to have you with us and to have the film with us. This is such an important piece for everyone to see. Can you tell us a little bit, in your own words, tell us the synopsis and how this film began?
Casey.
Cindy.
It's fair enough.
Okay.
Cindy can lead here. Yeah.
All right. The how the film began leads us into the synopsis.
Okay.
So the film was about my father, who's a Holocaust survivor, and 70 years later, we end up going because of a series of coincidences, really, that ended up connecting him with a researcher in Germany that was researching this orphanage that he ended up in at the end of World War II, at the end of the Holocaust, and ended up connecting with her. And so we went on a trip to Poland and Germany to retrace his steps during the war. And when I say we, both my parents, all 4 children, 2 grandchildren, a Polish son-in-law, and a film crew. And we never intended to make a film. The circumstances, just presented themselves to, make this trip. And one of the interesting things is my father never really talked about, all of this stuff growing up. So for most of the family, we were learning things for the first time. He did write a book about, he went back to Poland in the early 90s and wrote a lot of the story. And that was the first time we heard most of it. And then this journey actually physically being in the places with all of us, that forms the basis of the film. And just to add one other thing, what's remarkable about it is that it's an uplifting Holocaust film.
It was.
Because my father has a very positive, optimistic outlook, and he shares that with the audience and all of us. It's a hard journey, but that comes through strongly. And part of the goal is to share it with the next generation we meet. These German school kids at the end of it. So that's the picture.
Amazing. And Casey, how did your involvement come to be?
With me, it started from a phone call from Cindy. I think I was in California for some event, and I got a call. Cindy's number shows up on my phone, which was unusual because I'm good friends with Jan, and of course I know of his wife Cindy, but I never, at this point, up until that point, I hadn't got a call from Cindy before. So I take the call. I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" She said, "Hey, Casey, I'm going to be heading over to Toronto to visit my dad next week, and he's going to be opening this cigar box that he's never shown the family before. And I don't know, I'm thinking, might not hurt to have a camera there. Would you come out and do us a favor and come film this?" She knew I had made a documentary before, and I said, sure. I didn't have anything going on that week, so I called a buddy of mine when I got back to Toronto, who became the DP of the film. His name is Arik. So we went over a couple cameras, and we just saw this event with the family. Manny sharing his this shoebox of photos, and for me, it was some of the photos were pretty horrific. You see a few of them in the beginning of the film, and that moment was actually it was a quite genuine moment. It wasn't anything that was sort of premeditated. It was all sort of happening in that moment and where they're taping it. And then within that same week, I think what happened was Anna, who was the German researcher, and Manny had gotten in touch. And then they had a Skype call, and she asked him if he would be interested in going back to visit Germany. And that was sort of the beginnings. I think that gave Cindy and Jan the idea that there might be a film here to make. So that's kind of how I got involved.
Well, and he initially said no.
Mm-hmm.
First asked him, I was like, oh gosh, and around. How was that for all you? That process for him, and as a family working through him with that process to confront these demons that you know. And I say that because he was, what struck me about the film, like you said, it's not really a sad film. It is uplifting. I mean, there are sad elements to it, clearly, but your father, Cindy, is just this optimistic, strong, beautiful soul. Like he just takes a punch and keeps on going, but is never beaten down. It's really remarkable. Like if the world had more Mannys in it, this would be a much better place. Truly remarkable man. But how was it for you working through the process of, he was reluctant to go and he hadn't shared much of his past with you all, to where you ultimately got him on the plane and got him over there?
Yeah, well, we didn't get him on the plane. I guess he got himself on the plane. He, at first he, rejected the idea outright. And then my sister Lori and I were in Toronto at the time. And actually, I wasn't there for the Skype call. Casey was, and Lori was. But then, the siblings were like, oh, hey, why don't we go? Why don't we all go? And, we actually had not been on a family trip together since, I think it was 1982, we figured out. So just getting the family together at all was, remarkable. A weekend here or there for, wedding or something, but not going on a family trip. So we had the idea, people were enthusiastic about it, suddenly people go, but he was like, he was thinking about it and then he rejected it. And, we were talking and, the film was kind of already in motion. And I remember Casey and I talking about it and talking about it with the siblings. And he's like, it happens like this with documentaries sometimes, you can't control life kind of thing. And talking to my siblings, it was like, I'm not going to push the old man to go, like he's got really valid reasons for not wanting to. The last thing I would want to do is.
But at the same time, kind of behind the scenes, we were organizing a campaign. I think this is the first time I'm kind of disclosing this, right? But there was, we of course we wanted to encourage him to go. And I think ultimately he made the decision to do it because for the kids, for the family. It wasn't for his own edification or benefit. He didn't have any particular need to do it, right, himself. But
let me add one thing. On the first night of the trip, actually, it was just Jan and I there before the rest of the family came, and we went out for dinner. It was actually their anniversary, so we went out for dinner. And I asked him why he decided to come, and he said, "I didn't want people to think I wasn't up for the challenge."
He's so cute. Yeah. And Stephen, what about this? I mean, there's so much to fall in love with, but what about it did you fall in love with and to want to do the narration?
Well, I think the thing for me that's the most compelling about the film is if you look at Manny could be a guy standing next to you at the supermarket right now. Manny could be a guy, that takes your ticket at a toll booth. Manny could be somebody that, we pass, unaware every single day. And when you see this film, it makes you wonder about that, really more than anything, I think the final thing that pushed me over the edge to want to participate with it was, first of all, it was Jan and Cindy, and they're wonderful. And, the spirit of this project, and the heartfelt aspect of this project is what I think makes it, cooler than anything. As far as the labor of love of it, the family of Manny coming around to discover this incredible story. But I'm the youngest Baldwin brother, and I've done some narration before, and I'm a little bit crazy. I have kind of a crazy reputation. But when I saw the film and I saw Manny in that one scene where he could hardly even walk, and his friends boosted him up to throw him out of the window of a moving train.
Yeah. That was,
I mean, people need to know these stories.
Yes.
People need to know of the hope and perseverance of people like Manny, because this is the spirit of humanity that really moves us all forward and brings us together.
well said.
Well, yeah.
Well said.
Yeah.
Awesome. And we're thrilled, we're thrilled to be a platform all the time for filmmakers with important pieces like this. Some people think it's just big blockbuster films, but this is so important. And like you said, it's for the children.
Right.
They need to see this information. They need to know that it happened, and they need
Yeah.
to see how it affects everyone.
And as like a person in the movie business that like markets film and content, I mean, how nice is it to say about Finding Manny to parents and grandparents, here's like a story that tells the Holocaust experience, but like we said in the beginning of this conversation, it's warm and it's compelling and it's heartfelt and it's beautiful,
Yeah.
even though it's tragic in its story.
Right. And the Garden State Film Festival, every year we give tickets, but especially this year, to all the Holocaust centers and the Change Center in New Jersey. So not just Monmouth County, but throughout our whole state. So we're excited for them to see this too.
Yeah, we truly are. Yeah, we know they'll love it.
Wonderful.
That's awesome.
That's so great to hear.
I think Finding Manny is one of those rare films that when you watch it, you feel like you're a better person for having seen it. And
Amen.
that's such a gift that you've given to the world, sharing your father.
And I think the only thing cooler than that is to share it with someone else.
Right.
Very good. So that's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing. And we're hoping
Amen. Thank you.
you're going to be with us at the Garden State Film Festival.
So when's this one screening?
Yeah.
This one is
I had it in my
Saturday?
mind, but I
No.
deleted it from my brain.
Finding Manny
I think it is Saturday.
screening.
Please stand by. It is Sunday, March 28th.
Yes, 11,
Yes,
right?
11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Eastern
So this-
Standard Time.
Right. This is virtual only at the Brookdale Performing Arts Center virtual venue. However, everyone is going to be in their hotel rooms watching the virtual films and then coming to the live in-person events.
Yep.
So we're super excited. And we secretly also have some films playing inside the hotel room at the Asbury Hotel.
We do. We have select films will be running in the Asbury Hotel rooms themselves.
We're
Not the
super
film blocks
excited.
themselves, but we do have a few.
A couple of films.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just outstanding. I know you had other, before we started, you were just talking about how amazing the film was. Did you have any other comments?
Gosh, I do wonder too, as a family, how this must have been such a cathartic experience for you all. Seeing this side of your father and your children's grandfather, and then retracing his steps. It was just a beautiful, beautiful thing to witness. How has it changed you as a family?
Interesting. I think, one of the things that's said in the film captures it well. When we were kids, my sister Wendy's talking about, when we were kids, he wasn't that involved with us as children. He actually wasn't interested in us till we could carry on, interesting conversations as the family lore. But because we didn't know his story growing up, we didn't know, my sister kind of points out that, we never said to ourselves, oh, this is nothing, the thing that we're going through compared to, what dad went through. And so it kind of gave us insight into his, his parenting style, what was going through his head, as he was, the silly, childish things, or, things that were huge traumas for us or big deals.
Right.
Maybe he was thinking like, come on, that's a problem kind of thing. But he didn't express that. We didn't know that. We never made those connections. So I feel like what it gave everybody is just a much, we could see him more as the person who went through everything that he went through than just dad, treating his children or raising his kids in some way. Like suddenly, we could see things more from, his perspective and understand and just have a lot more, empathy and I just think it really helped. And I know for the grandkids too, one of them says, it's just always thought of him as, Zeta kind of thing. But now going to the places of his childhood, and we took the walk to his school, and he was, as we were, this isn't in the film, but as we're walking down the street, he's telling the story of, the teacher sent him home once to pick up her cat, and, and the cat ran away, and it was this very traumatic thing for him. So he never went back to school that day.
His memory was astounding for these things. I mean, we would go to places, basically he was in multiple camps, and that isn't quite fleshed out in the film, but there's a whole kind of journey there, and he would remember there was just a field, basically. Some of these camps, they tried to hide what happened, right? So
sorry guys, that's all right.
That's okay.
Just go.
Go.
So some of those camps are basically just like raised field. There's nothing there. You can't see it at all. And Manny would come up and he'd be thinking, yeah, I think this was here. Yeah, I think that was there. And they would pull out the plans and be like, yes, this is how it was. Right.
Well, and he actually corrected. Remember at Buchenwald, she was saying, there was this building here when you arrived by train. He's like, no, there was no building there. I'm sure of it. There was no building there. And she came back a bit later. She's like, I checked the records. You're right. It was bombed a month before you arrived. There was no building there.
Wow. So it's ingrained in his memory.
There was one scene in the film. There was one scene in the film that they showed a map of just that one region. I don't know if it was the one town or county that they were in.
Leipzig.
Yeah, but with all of the concentration camps. And when Manny looked at that, you could see on his face how he was stunned, and he said, "We thought we were the only ones."
Right.
There were so many. It gave me chills. It was just
that was a big part. Another thing that we discovered, and I think Cindy references, is how important the forced labor was actually to kind of fueling the Nazi war machine. And we see this is, kind of being replicated in Xinjiang province in China, and frankly, in the labor camp system across China. But this is right now we're getting a lot more kind of information about this in the general media. This is something that Cindy and I have been working on for years. So I had never realized that element was there, because it isn't sort of in the common lore. We've known about the death camps, we've known about the gassing and all these horrific things that happened in the death trains, but we didn't really know about, essentially this was, part of the war effort was basically working these people to death.
Wow.
Oh, crazy.
There's so much there. Well, you uncovered so much with this film, but in the darkness that you had to dig through, I really feel like you found a lot of beauty, and I just can't thank you enough for sharing it with us and with the world. And I wish all great things for you and for this project and going forward. I hope everybody gets to see it.
And to make sure you stay in touch with us, because it might sound very Jersey, but once you become a part of the Garden State Film Festival, we're family. So once you become an alumni and move on from us, we want to know the projects you're working on. We want to know and celebrate your success too. So definitely keep in touch. We're so excited to be with you in Asbury Park. It's soon. We're not really ready. We're not packed, but it's coming soon. We're going to be...
I don't know what I'm going to wear.
I don't know.
I don't fit in anything that I wore pre-COVID.
A lot of Haagen-Dazs.
A lot of ice cream this last year.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Empire waist. Like a lot
So if people wanted to know more information, Cindy, about the film or your father, do you have any information that you would like to share publicly?
Well, we're findingmanny.com is our website. So we will put anything, that there is to share about that. I don't know. Can you guys think of anything?
Well,
I was going to sorry. Go ahead.
No, this is just a quick anecdote, right?
Okay, I mean, and then I have a thought.
There's the catharsis of the film is basically catharsis in Manny presenting to all these young people, right, in Germany, and how enthralled they are by his story. And there's this one question, I don't know why, when you were speaking, it just jumped into my mind. Basically they're saying, do you have a grudge against Germans? I mean, roughly speaking. And he's like, no, I treat each person as themselves. God. I think that it's just something so powerful about that.
So what I was going to say is one of our big goals of the film is for young people to see it because, for never again to mean anything, then people have to actually know what happened,
Right.
what never again. And we
Right.
really, really, so if there's anybody watching this has connections to schools, education systems, anything like that, that's really the audience we want to hit in a big way.
Okay,
We do.
perfect. So
We do.
I'll reach out to the New Jersey School Boards Association as well as other and get that out there. But we thank you so much. And we are just grateful for you to create something like this to preserve, your father and everything that he has gone through as well as others. So for more information and for tickets, go to gsff.org and we'll see you in Asbury Park.
Thank you.
And thank you for picking the film. We love it.
Yes, thank you.
Garden
Thank you
State
for
Film
the
Festival.
Thank you
just
for the
want to say
platform.
quickly, Casey, great job. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. Wonderful
Thank you,
job.
brother. Appreciate that, Stephen.
You got it.
Well
Thank
done.
you.